Oops. Hello, happy Tuesday. Today we're talking about the AI author advantage. And specifically, I'm going to hop into one of the tools that I don't think a lot of people know about, and yet it can help you create the most robust book outline. And even with recent additions to their service or their tool, it can also help you even write the content. Now, I haven't played with that because I'm still not, I don't want to say a fan because I'm just excited about AI in general, but I don't use AI to write a lot of things. But this content tool is pretty cool, and they have a lot of great stuff inside of that tool. But I figured we would dive in because last week I gave a talk at MIT for Blue Talks. And my talk was the AI author advantage. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a version of that and then dive in even more to actually using a couple of the tools that I talked about there. So, welcome. Hello, Efren. I hope you saw the video I put out last week on cloning your voice and producing your audiobook because I know that you've been looking for that one. So, it was out on Friday. Professor E.A. Burlingame is here. Hello, Stella, St. John Butler. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So and of course, if you're new here, make sure you say hello because in, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to pop on and do a giveaway for everybody that's here. And Angela has kindly sent me, pardon me for turning my back on you all, a new version. So I'm no longer showing you guys the vintage mug. We now have the current version of our mug, which is one of our prizes, of course. And I also have, I'm so current now, I have our Oh So Soft journal, the current version of our journal as well. So those are two of your prizes. Of course, you can also win a copy of Self Promote and Succeed and Self Publish and Succeed. So hello, Paula. Reframe Revolutions in the house as well. Welcome. And Katie, it's great to see you all. Okay, so let's dive in to essentially, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a shell of what I presented, and then I'm going to go into tools. And as always, just ask your questions. Angela will hang on to them, and I will cover them at the end. So basically, when I gave this talk, I started by giving a little bit of background. And part of that background was my own story and how I got into publishing and self-publishing and how I launched book launchers. And I won't give you guys a long version. I won't give you the full version, but for anybody who hasn't heard it, let me just see if I can share this screen. I'm going to bring up the PowerPoint for you just for fun so you can see, you can get the whole, it says I have no slides, but I do have slides. You're wrong. I do have slides. Okay. Here it is. Let's see. There are the slides. You should be able to see these now. So let me go slideshow. So hopefully you're seeing them. If you're not, it's okay. So essentially, my story goes back into way back into 2001 when I read a book that completely changed my life, and that book was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it just, for me, it changed my life in that I started looking at what I was going to do a little bit differently because at the time I was going to go back to school to do my MBA, and my focus was on getting a six-figure job so that I could, just make money and be on a path that I thought was important. But what that book did was get me thinking about how I needed to get my money working hard for me. So I started looking at investment options, and I still did my MBA, but I took the money that I had been saving for the MBA and I bought my first two investment properties. And then I got student loans for my MBA, and then I started taking courses. And because I didn't have money, and I was a student, so I couldn't qualify for financing. And I started investing in properties that I could get for no money down. I don't need to go down my real estate path. But come 2008, I was not happy in the job that I had, and I decided to quit. Terrible timing. 2008 was not an ideal year to go full time as a real estate investor. And I also launched a real estate training and education company. But that whole journey, and then buying more properties, and I started to raise capital for investing in more deals. That whole journey made for some really juicy stories. And I was approached in 2011 by an acquisitions editor for Wiley Canada, because this was all in Canada at the time. And the acquisitions editor was interested in potentially doing a book with me. And I told him, "Oh yes, I've got this book idea." At the time, I thought it was going to be called Manslaughter in a Crack House, because that was some of my stories that I had from real estate. But they said, no, no, that's a general real estate investing book. And they didn't want it. They gave me a book idea and we built a proposal together. And I hired somebody to review the proposal. And after 3 months, they said I didn't have a strong enough platform to sell books. And so I ended up going back to the original book idea. And I ultimately, what I ended up doing, and hold on, I just got a message that you guys, oh, you guys were seeing it, but you weren't seeing me and the thing. Okay, that's what it was. So I ended up going back to the original book idea. I'll bring up my slides again in a second. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it better than if Wiley had given me that book deal. And so I dove into whatever information I could find on self-publishing and marketing a book. And I ended up writing the book that I really thought should have been written, which was, it's called More Than Cash Flow: The Real Risks and Rewards of Profitable Real Estate Investing. And I told the stories of the property that that became a crack house, and the property manager that got charged with manslaughter, and the other property manager that robbed rent money from me, and all of those crazy stories. And ultimately, I ended up, really pouring my heart and soul into this book and taking it to #1 on Amazon. And so then I was told that you could see the slides in me. So I'm not sure what that other message was, but we'll just go back to the presentation quickly. Here we are. Okay. And so I took it to #1. So #1 in print books. I had a Dan Brown, I had a Game of Thrones. But for me, a lot of things happened. So Rich Dad Poor Dad changed my life because it put me on a different mindset where I started investing in real estate. But writing this beautiful red book over here changed my life again. And it was part of what made me passionate about helping authors write, publish, and promote their own nonfiction book. Because I realized not only can it change your life, but you can change the lives of people who read your book. And you don't need some gatekeeper telling you that your book is worthy. And by the way, financially, it's almost laughable, the difference between if I had gotten that book deal, what I would have made versus what I did make selling the books that I did in that first year. And I did the math one day with the 12 months post launch. And if I had gotten the book deal, it would have been under $10,000 I would have made from the publishing deal. But with my book and what I sold, I almost crossed into 6 figures in proceeds from that book in just that first year post launch. So huge financial difference, but I also got to write the book that I really thought needed to be written. And I started speaking on stages all over North America. I was on so many news shows, and they were always morning shows, that I started turning them down because I didn't want to be in the green room at 5:30 or 5:45 in the morning anymore. But it was really, really a fun journey. And it, again, got me even more excited about self-publishing, which is why, in 2017, I launched Book Launchers. And so I have been excited about self-publishing, owning your rights, controlling your intellectual property, and really being able to use it for whatever it is that you want to use it to do. And then I got even more excited last year when AI tools came out, because suddenly I could see how this is going to be faster, easier, and for a lot of authors, a whole heck of a lot more fun to use AI. But I know whenever I bring this up, there's always people that, I even got emails. I've gotten emails and messages from people saying they're so disappointed in me that I'm promoting AI. And I'm not promoting AI as in go hit a button and produce some garbage book that wouldn't exist otherwise. That is not what I am promoting, but it is a tool that you can leverage so that if you have a book idea and you don't know where to start, this is such a cool path for you. And also, I understand why we have fear around AI. I mean, Hollywood has taught us that the robots are coming to kill us. So I completely get it that we have fear. I have a little bit of this too. I definitely think about this sometimes as every version comes out and it's more and more human. I definitely have a little bit of this fear. But for authors, every step of your journey there is a way to leverage AI to make it faster, easier, and cheaper in many regards. And I'm not going to dive into all of the uses, although, we're using it in a variety of ways at book launchers at every phase. But today, really, what I thought I would show you is how to defeat this, because this is my enemy. I don't know about you guys, but this blank page, that little cursor that blinks in your face, that is my enemy. And because of my two best buddies, Claude, and I call ChatGPT Chatty. Claude and Chatty have made it so I never have to stare at a blank page. What I used to do is I used to take video scripts, even if it wasn't relevant to what I'm about to write. I would take the script from my video, or the transcript, I mean, and I would put it on the page and then just edit it, because I didn't like having a blank page. There was something intimidating about that blank page for me. So I would do that. But now I go to Claude or Chatty and I'm like, give me 10 ideas for videos. Because for me, I'm not talking about book ideas. I'm looking for video ideas. I'm looking for content ideas. Like, hey, I need to write a post on LinkedIn. What's something that would be relevant to this audience where I could talk about? And I get ideas so that I'm not starting with a blank page. So writer's block, it's gone forever. It's not an excuse because you don't have an idea. Cool. Tell one of these tools about your audience or what you want the outcome of this content to be. And you're going to get some great ideas for what the chapters should be, what the book should be. If you need a story or a statistic, this is a great way. And it does a really good job of avatar creation as well. So helping you get into the mind of your reader. Claude is my favorite writing partner. So for example, if you want to get a draft of a book description, or you need some social media posts or video scripts, again, I end up rewriting almost everything that comes out of here, but I'm not starting from a blank page. So I love Claude for a first draft of writing things. For me, though, what I want to show you guys today, and why I kind of jumped in and showed you a bit of this presentation, was I wanted to feed into this tool that will help you with book outlining. Because yes, ChatGPT will generate a book outline, and yes, Claude will generate a book outline. But this tool, which I'm going to go to in a second, dibl Create, does such a phenomenal job. And the presentation I gave at MIT, I didn't go into the tool like I'm going to do today, but I just wanted to show you this slide, and you may not be able to read this, so I'll read this to you. But it says, too many authors are afraid of AI taking over when they should be embracing ChatGPT, Claude, 11 Labs, and more. And so this was the prompt I gave it. Main topic was embracing AI to build a bigger author business faster. So it wasn't very detailed, and it didn't give it very much information. And it gave me an 8-chapter outline, and you can just see the depth. I just pulled chapter 2 as a simple example. So it had 3 subpoints for every chapter, and it stated the goal of the subpoint and supporting ideas. And then at the bottom of the chapter summary, it gave you research materials like books and articles to reference. So again, and how I actually, before I go into dibl Create, I'm going to kind of fast forward to the end of this presentation, because I want to make one more point before I dive into all of this. But this eliminates I don't know what to write or how to structure a book or all of that. It gives you a place to start. Now, at the end of the day, I think AI is your friend, but I'm not a fan of its writing. And that's why, and there's a big reason why. I'm going to skip through that, but I did put a video out on Friday on 11 Labs. So Angela can drop it in the comments for you on how I've cloned my voice. There's really not a lot of places to sell this version of the audiobook, but 11 Labs has made some updates lately that make it a reasonable replica of your voice. It's still identifiable in places that it's not a human reading it, but it's darn close. And so, save for some sensitive people who will refuse to listen to a digital voice, even a cloned version of a real voice, I think it's an 80% pass, if not more, for listening to my voice versus the Julie bot. Okay, so the one thing I did want to touch on before I go in and show you dibl Create and then answer any questions that you have is to remind you that it's a tool to help, but why I don't think it's going to replace you if you're writing a great book is because of the human element. And so here's the story that I told there. So when we moved to, well, we started in Los Angeles. When we moved from Canada to Los Angeles, we we had to go through the visa process, right? So the whole visa process. And I created a business plan for book launchers to get this thing called an E2 investor visa. So I used the business idea to qualify for a visa to move to the United States. And part of the whole process is you have to invest a bunch of money in the business before you actually get to launch the business. It is very backwards. Is not the way I would recommend anybody ever start a business. But the part that I shared that I think is important to keep in mind is the following part of my story, which is I couldn't actually complete. So we started planning to move to the States. And then as life happens, we got pregnant and couldn't finish the visa application because being pregnant, they didn't want us to move to the States. They wanted to have the baby born so the baby could get have a birthday and a name. So we had to wait. And we waited. And then as soon as he was born, we finished the visa application. And so this picture is literally, us with a brand new baby trying to get a passport photo. Anybody who's had a baby and tried to have their eyes be open, it was so hard to get the passport photo for this kid. But at 4 weeks old, we flew across the country to Toronto to go for our interview. And in the interview, you go through security like you're going through the airport, and then you stand up against these bulletproof glass windows while somebody pours through the business plan and everything in your application and decides whether you're going to get this visa or not. And what happened in our interview, and leading into this, our lawyer had said, this is really strong. The question's only going to be not whether you get it, but how many years you're going to get the visa for. And what happened was, and I was like, it's a blur, because all of a sudden she's just sliding this fluorescent green piece of paper underneath the window to me going, yeah, you haven't spent enough money yet. So here's your passports back. You're going to need them. And I was like, how much more money do I need to spend? And she's like, I can't tell you that. And so there I was, walking out there, and Dave, my husband, was so confused. He's just like, what just happened? And I'm like, we didn't get our visa. And then all of a sudden I look at him and I go, oh my gosh, we're homeless, because we had sold our house and all of our stuff was sitting in a moving truck waiting to move to Los Angeles, where I had to have an office leased in order to qualify for the visa. You have to have an office space. So I had to have an office leased, and we had an apartment because we were going to move down there. So we had an office and an apartment that we couldn't go to. And all of our stuff, except for what was in our suitcases, was on this moving truck. We went and we stayed with my mom and dad, and obviously it got sorted out because, 2.5 months later we moved and we drove down, and that's where that went. Now, this story, it has many layers, right? So there's investing a bunch of money, not knowing if the business is going to work, let alone, because I couldn't do any sort of testing, because to start the business and start making revenue, I actually had to be in the States, but I couldn't get in the States until I started the visa. So there's that layer. Then I've got a 4-week-old baby and nowhere to live because we've sold our home and we're planning to move, and we can't actually get to where we were planning to go to start the business. So there's all these emotional elements that get layered into this. And the lens that I look at the world at, and these kind of changes and transitions that you don't have control over, it changes how you view things. And that is a very complex thing for AI to write and to capture. AI can provide the steps to get an E2 immigration, to qualify for an E2 visa, and what it looks like to move from one country to another. It'll give you the steps, but those emotions and that lens is what makes your story so important. And that's the thing. Even if you've never moved to a new country, the challenges that somebody faces and the emotions that you feel, anybody who's had a baby can imagine. And by the way, there's like a whole chunk of time in there where I don't remember anything because I was so stressed and so sleep deprived that there's like blocks of time, and Dave will go, oh, don't you remember we ate at that restaurant? I'm like, nope, I have no idea. I do not remember that at all. But that kind of stuff is stuff that you bring to a book. And that's the thing that people are going to connect with. And that is, besides all the copyright issues and the legal issues and all of those kind of things, which are valid reasons why I wouldn't write a book with AI anyways, it is this human connection. And I believe the more that we leverage AI in our world, in our business, the more important this human connection is going to be. And it already is vital to the success of your book, to your brand, to everything that you do. But as it becomes more and more prevalent, like people on LinkedIn and Facebook are using AI to reply. So as that happens more, this ability to share stories, share emotions, share the lens that you look at the world through and why you have that lens, that is the thing that is going to make you stand out in this world where AI is getting leveraged. So as much as I'm a fan and I'm saying leverage it because it's going to save time and money, I'm also saying you have to bring that human story into what you do. All right, I'm going to do prizes and then I'm going to go into Dibly Create and show you this cool tool. Okay, so I'm glad you can laugh about it now. Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through. So, and this is something, a friend of mine just got laid off last week, and complete surprise to her. And I maybe too soon to have said this to her, but I just said, you know what, every time I've hit a really horrible obstacle like that, and I feel like I've been kicked while I'm down, a couple years later, I look back and that's the story, the story I told at the beginning about Wiley turning me down. My gosh, what a gift. I was devastated for almost 6 months. I couldn't understand why I had friends that got book deals and I didn't. But if that hadn't have happened, I probably wouldn't have self-published a book, discovered the power of self-publishing, and eventually launched Book Launchers, which I am having like a billion times more fun than I ever had in the real estate world. So for me, that was a great gift. And I kind of feel like everything that happened, even a couple years ago when my visa, was it a couple years? I don't even know. Things get blurry. But when my visa expired and my work authorization expired and I couldn't actually run the company, my fabulous team did an amazing job. Angela's here. She's one of them that kept the company running while I could not work in the company. But that ended up being a gift because it set me on a green card path that I wasn't on before. I kind of was like, this can't ever happen again. How do I ensure this never happens? And, because I was telling people what had happened, a door opened that I didn't actually think was available to me. So every tough time I find eventually is either the best chapter in a book, the origin of a great book, or some sort of a gift that, opens a door for something that wasn't there before. So that's my perspective on all those things. And ultimately, I think it's all those dark times, that's what actually makes your book and your story something that people want to read. If you don't have some sort of experience that took grit and perseverance and persistence and, where you were down and somebody kicked you while you were down, if you don't have that kind of a story, your book is going to lack depth for people to connect and want to read it and want to tell other people about it. Not saying go and pursue bad things to happen to you so you can have a great book, but most of us have faced some, pretty dark days, and those dark days can be the very thing that makes your book, not only impactful to other people, but something that resonates and lasts for a long time. Okay, so let's head on over. Let's do a quick prize now. So if you haven't said hello, now is a great time to say hello, because I'm going to go on over to my StreamYard giveaway tool. There it is. And allow. Here we go. Beautiful. All right. So if you're new here, when you comment the day a video is released, you get entered to win a prize. So we'll be doing those prizes shortly. But then I also love to reward those of you who join me live and don't just tune in for the replay. But if you are watching the replay, you can comment on the day it's out, and that also gets entered to win. So here we go. There's our session, and we're going to draw. There's 15 of you that have commented so far. So let's see who our first winner is. I swear, St. John Butler, you've won every live stream we've had lately. All right. So if there's still a prize that you want from the journal, the mug, or the 2 books, go ahead and email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com. If you want us to draw again, or you want to gift it to someone else, that is also an option, but no pressure. Because I don't know if you've won 4 times, so you might not have won all the prizes yet. But congratulations, and thank you for always tuning in and commenting and participating. I will do this one more time before we are done today. And now I'm going to pop over to my buddy Chatty, where I have everybody loaded in. Hold on, if I can. Is it going to let me? Oh, I see what's happened. Okay, let's see. This was Claude from earlier. So now are you seeing, let's make sure you are seeing ChatGPT because I've got all the names in there. You are. Perfect. Okay, so I have a new wheel of names, a little GPT in the Chatty, and I've entered everybody in that has commented on the Tuesday and Friday when new videos are released. Oops, our system detected unusual activity. Okay, great. That's swell. We need a winner though. Okay. There we go. Now it's doing. Vitamin Shepherd. So you are the winner. You'll need to email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com and share your mailing address. And if you are in the US, you can choose to take a mug or a journal. If you are outside of the US, you will have to choose from Self-Promote and Succeed or Self-Publish and Succeed, the 2 books. In the US, you can win those 2 books as well. And while I'm here, I'm going to do the other one. Please select a new one, but it must be different than that winner. Okay. And the next one is MTMAN2. So maybe Mountain Man, or I'm not sure. MTMAN2, congratulations. And you have also won. So thank you for commenting on the day a video was released. So choose from the mug, the journal, Self-Promote and Succeed, Self-Publish and Succeed. Email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com with your choice and your mailing address so she knows where to send it. All right, so let's see what you guys are talking about, and then I'm going to dive into dibl. All right, turn your pain into passion. Yeah, that's right, Katie. And Gemini. So SD Houston is using Gemini 1.5 Pro. Yes, and the use is cool. So to pull out an exhaustive character list from my published books and list all of their characteristics, the start of my story Bible that I should have done already. I love that. And Gemini is really cool. ChatGPT's latest release, the 4.0, it is, I think they released it to try to compete to Gemini because Gemini was trained on more recent things and images and video, and it's more robust too. And I've only just started playing with Gemini, but I think it's really cool. I love your use case though. That's fantastic. All right, questions. If you've got questions, you can post them. And then Mary from Toronto, hello, thank you. I was walking down Bay Street for that story. So to give you, if you know Toronto, that was where I was walking down when we were realizing that we had no home to go home to at that time. And I can pick another winner. I just saw that, St. John. So thank you. Next time I go in, I'll pick a second one to replace yours. But thank you as always for being here. All right, so I'm going to pop into dibl. ChatGPT, and I did a video on this a little while ago where I showed, ChatGPT versus dibl Create. And I still prefer dibl for the outlining, and I'll show you why. So one moment here while I bring up dibl. Let me make sure. Where are you, StreamYard? I have a few windows open. I'm a little guilty of having an excessive amount of windows open, which makes it hard for me to quickly share. Okay, so this is dibl Create. And by the way, you can, we only make a few dollars, but if you do want to grab it, and if there's any issues, this will track you back to us, and it's our affiliate link. So I just put that in there, but booklaunchers.com/dibl is our affiliate link for this. Like I said, we only make a couple dollars on it, so that's not why I'm promoting it. I just think it's a really cool tool. So what you would do is when you're inside of this dashboard, you create a new project, and then you go over to Kip. Kip is their AI tool. And you can see here, you can use Kip to create an outline. Kip does a pretty good job of writing a description. You can also use it for research, summarizing. then this is their newest piece where it's human content writing. So you can have it produce a chapter for your book. And you can put sources in there and work quite well with that. I haven't played with their title generator. I love ChatGPT, and I use a plugin in ChatGPT called AI RPM. And then inside of that, there's a keyword, an SEO rich keyword title generator that I use to get ideas for book titles. So I haven't played with dibl for this. Okay, so outline. I want to show you this because this is really cool. So you can choose your audience type. I'm just going to go adults, and you can toggle between fiction and nonfiction. I'm going to do nonfiction. I'm just going to say 10 chapters, and you can choose the number of words for this book. I'll go with 55,000, kind of a typical business book. Book title. Let's see. What should we do for a book title? Why don't you guys give me a book title, a genre of the book, or topic for the book, and we'll roll with that. So I'll look to you guys to give me ideas, and we will produce it based on your idea. Earlier today, we were talking about AI applications in our team meeting, and I did one on basket weaving for robots. So yeah, and while I'm looking for you guys to give me ideas, I want a nonfiction SD. I like that though, the florist budding desires romance, but we're going to do nonfiction. And Mary, by the way, yes, ISBNs are free for Canadian authors. You go through the government website. There was issues with it. I know a couple of our Canadian clients were having issues with ISBNs. I don't know, Angela, if you have any more details on that. But the site was down, but that's still your best place to get them. As long as you have a Canadian address, you're a Canadian resident, you will qualify for that. dibl has a free version, Katie, and I'm still waiting for somebody to give me an idea. So I'm just talking. Well, you guys give me an idea. And if you don't, I'll make one up. And Professor, how to get rich. Okay, we can work with that. So Katie, dibl is free to a point. It's culture, not race. Why culture? Oh, there we go. Here we go. We're getting more ideas. Okay. So dibl has a free version, but to use their outlining tool, it's $20 a month. And so you can cancel after a month. So if you only want to use it for the outline tool and nothing else, then you can just cancel afterwards. Just trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell you about that. The free version has some stuff in it, like you can write in it, but it really, to do the more robust things that are inside of it, it's $20 a month. Okay, using AI as your book publishing and marketing buddy. It's culture, not race. Why culture has a positive and negative influences in a diverse society. How to get rich. I think I like all those actually, and boxing. I'm going to use the how to get rich because I can wing that one on the fly a little bit easier and be able to talk while I'm typing. So how to get rich with AI. That's what I'm going to. Genre of the book is how to finance or business. So we'll put those in there. So the main topic is how to get rich when you are lazy and you just want AI to fill your bank account. Okay, let's see what it gives us. Okay. Explanation of the book. This book is going to be going to compete with Rich Quick Guides in the style of, I don't know. Let's go. Okay. Okay, let's see what it gives us. And obviously, the more quality material you put in there, the better it's going to be. In my Self-Publish and Succeed live class, we were doing this, and one of the students in the class gave me, and it was only a couple sentences long, but it was a good summary. It was basically the hook of his book and his target audience. And we put it in there, and he was floored. It was so funny because he was reading the subpoints and he's just like, oh my gosh, that is what I actually have on my outline. So he was just stunned that I think it was the first 5 subpoints, he had 4 of those 5 that were already on his outline, and he couldn't believe that it generated that. And so it gives you a really great starting point, and then you just copy it over, put it in your Word document, and then go back over it and add the human. So what I mean by that is go back over it and think about your lens. So this is where I would recommend you already have your hook, the outcome of the outcome. If you don't know what the hook is, grab my book. If you didn't win it today and you didn't win it, if you haven't bought it, Self-Publish and Succeed is going to help you figure out the hook of your book, because that's your unique lens. That is the outcome of the outcome for your ideal reader. And that is really important. And then understanding what makes you unique and what makes you uniquely positioned to be the person that writes this book. And I'll go back to the example. Well, Self-Publish and Succeed, I wrote that book because there's great books on how to write. There's great books even on publishing, but what they were missing was what I think is missing in a lot of the companies out there, and that is figuring out what is your goal as an author and how to position this book so your book is going to be interesting to people to read and help you achieve your goal. Because a lot of people write a good book, but then they're like, okay, now I got to go sell it. And that is hard to set yourself up for success when that is the case. But if you sit there and you go, okay, what's the hook of this book? Who is it for? How is it going to succeed? And you know that while you're writing your book, you're able to position it for success and for a greater impact. I think and it says it can take up to 10 minutes. It doesn't usually take that long. But I'm going to we'll come back over to this in a minute. Oh, wait, there it is, just as I'm about to leave. Okay, so let's see what it's got. It gave us a subtitle, A Lazy Person's Guide to Wealth Using Artificial Intelligence. Is kind of what I gave it. Okay, so objectives: to provide practical strategies, to demystify complex AI concepts, to empower individuals looking for passive income opportunities. So comprehensive guide to harness the power of AI. Key reader takeaways: understanding the potential of AI in wealth creation, implementing practical strategies for passive income, leveraging AI and technologies effectively for financial growth. So then it goes through questions, target audience. This is essentially material if you were doing a book proposal that you would need for a book proposal. Then it heads down. It's going to produce introduction. So engaging hook, start with a captivating anecdote, there we go, about someone who transformed their financial life. So for me, I would change this to be your own personal story or something that's going to hook the reader. I always like to start a book in an introduction with something that like shows that you know exactly what's going through the mind of that reader in this moment. So connect to them where they are today. Highlight the problem. Shocking statistics could be there. And by the way, you could then say, I need a shocking statistic. What do you have for me? So introduction to AI for passive income. That's chapter 1. It's kind of cool. So here's your sub point: understanding the basics of AI and its applications in finance, introducing to passive income and its benefits. Sub point 3, carrying on. I'm not going to read all this to you. So then it provides potential links for you to go and have resources and do more research and kind of get into the material for this. And then it gets into AI investment strategies, same thing, building a passive income empire with AI. This actually kind of sounds cool. So you can see why I really like this. And now what you could do with this, and I'm not advocating for this part, but with their new content tool, I think I can copy that part. Okay, so then I can go back and let's see, Kip, I want you to, where are we? I want Kip to, I know what I have to do. Sorry. I need to go over here and then go here. And then I could have it produce this and put the chapter outline in here and see, it says, is it an intro or conclusion chapter? Include research. I want it to include research. Can use 150,000 tokens. Well, I'm not super worried about that, but anyways, lazy people who want to make money. Okay, so we'll see what Kip does over here. And while that's happening, let's go over and I'll come back to this and I'm going to finish our prizes while we wait. So okay, StreamYard giveaway tool. All right, so St. John Butler has kindly agreed to give the prize to someone else. I don't know if you guys were here, but the last time I was using this prize, book launchers won three times in a row. I don't know what was going on that day. I could not get it to give a prize to anybody but book launchers. All right. Bill, congratulations. Thank you for joining us today and commenting and participating. You need to email Angela at team, T-E-A-M at booklaunchers.com with your mailing address and your choice of prizes. So congratulations. And you can thank St. John Butler for your prize. Now let's get the next one. Mary Kay, congratulations. All right. Woo. Okay, so same thing, email Angela and let her know what prize you would like and where to send it in Toronto. Okay, so last thing, I'm just going to pop back over to Dibly to see what Kip did for writing while we were over there. Where are you, Dibly? There we go. Okay, so let's see here. How did you do? So AI entrepreneurship for passive income. So imagine a world. My goodness, the number of times AI starts with imagine or transformative, journey, embark. This Odyssey's another one. Anyways, I won't pick on it. I'm just going to scan this. You guys can scan it too. Let's see. Imagine again, so this just proves my point. I don't think AI is replacing humans anytime soon. Furthermore, I mean, some people use that. Imagine again. All right. Well, again, if you don't want to start with a blank page, but I am not super worried about AI taking over from the humans yet. But it's really cool. It is really, again, the outline is a phenomenal tool. And if you don't want to start with a blank page, it gives you something to work with. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know. And you can get an outline for a fiction book, same way, Katie. So instead of toggling I'll show you. Again, we don't do fiction, so I'm not going to spend, sorry. I don't, so I'm not going to spend time on fiction, but I will show you that it does have the ability to produce fiction outlines. And I've heard from some people that it's pretty good. I haven't played with it at all. Here we go. So let me just go back in here and show you real quick that over here, so it's got fiction as an option. So if I go to Kip and I go outline, so right here, I can say fiction. I can produce children book. Let's say I wanted to write something, YA. You could go down there and put it in here, horror, whatever genre. So that's what you can do for fiction. All right. What questions do you guys have for me? Are there any questions, Angela? Efren, I see Efren, Philip Zimbardo wrote the foreword for my current book. The opposite is true. Yes. And that the book is full of such great stories, Efren. I love the stories inside of your book. All right, let's see. Perhaps AI was influenced by Rod Serling, Twilight Zone. Imagine a world, right? The number of times it uses, certain things. I had a call with somebody and they had, their book was Odyssey of something and was their title. And I was nice about it, but I said, did you use AI to generate your book? And he was like, yes. I was like, yes, AI loves the word Odyssey. Most humans don't use the word Odyssey in their day-to-day language, but AI seems to love it. Okay. Angela's first question from Angela. It says, I missed your recent audiobook video. I'll definitely catch it. Are there updates that might make it worth considering again? Yes. So what Efren is talking about was I put out a video, I think it was on Friday of last week, that shows how I cloned my voice with 11 labs and then turned around and produced my first book, More Than Cash Flow, in an audiobook format. I just finished uploading it to BookFunnel and I'll make it available to people that want to listen to it really soon. There isn't really a great way to sell it on a platform. So I can sell it direct using BookFunnel. I'm playing with a couple of options. And, when when I can upload it to sell somewhere, I will, just to test it all out for you. But I was pleased with it. And what I did was I didn't tell my husband. I just said I played the sample that I used to train so it was me, my voice. I played that, and then I played a section, a paragraph that the Julie bot is what I call her. Julie bot read, and he went, that one is AI? Like, he was not sure. He was right. He picked the bot out from, the two samples, but it did a really good job. But in that video, I show you how to prepare your manuscript, because what I found was things like hyphens. Oh, and my gosh, URLs. It cannot read URLs. It is a hot mess. It does not know what to do with them. And so URLs and hyphens and certain things, I went through and cleaned up the manuscript a little bit, which you need to do that to read your own audiobook anyways. You wouldn't necessarily delete URLs, but you need to make some decisions as to how things will be read and what you need to do to prepare your manuscript to read it. So it's not that unlike what you would do, but the production part of it was really easy. And it has now you have to pay extra money, but it has a professional version to clone your voice. So you can upload up to 3 hours of content, which is new. And it has an audiobook level setting. So, and if I was going to be selling my book, I would pay for the best output quality. And it has new settings that have just come out in the last month or so, which make it, I think, it's still not the same as a human. At the end of the day, I still think a human, you narrating the book is going to be the best thing. But when you have a gigantic book like Efren does, and some other people, something that's 120, 140,000 words, it becomes very expensive to produce an audiobook. And the ROI on that audiobook production is going to be a long time coming back to you. So, I think this gives you an option to produce something. And if it's selling really well, or you get a lot of feedback, you can always adjust course afterwards. But yes, I think it's a viable option for people who don't want to or can't, or it's cost prohibitive to produce an audiobook version, because there are some people, as much as a lot of people hate on the robot voices, some people will get the Alexa to read to them, and she is not a good reader, but they aren't going to read a book, and so the alternative is having a robot read it to them, and so this is much better quality than that. All right, so I answered the other questions. So that was it for today. We will be back here in 2 weeks. And if you have topic requests or suggestions or ideas, please do post them in the comments below this video. We're always looking to create live streams that are relevant and useful for you. So let me know what you want us to talk about. Oh, wait, hold on. Another one. What would you say is the word count range that is viable for audiobooks, being that 100,000 might not produce an ROI? I mean, I'm just making that up. It varies, right? It varies for everybody. But I'll break down that a little bit. Thanks, Kevin. So why I say something over 100,000 might not produce an ROI is because you're starting to get into the $6,000 range for editing, producing, mastering your book when it's up in the 120,000 word range for a professional editor to go through. And then yourself, maybe you have the equipment at home, but if you're renting a studio, now you're probably in a studio for 25 hours, which is, going to be another $2,000 in studio rental. So you're getting up in there, just round numbers. Please don't hate on me for not being precise here. But 8,000, let's say it's $8,000. Well, $8,000, when you sell your book on Audible chooses your price. And Audible is probably not going to sell your book for twice as much because it's twice as long. They'll probably still sell it for $16.99 or $14.99, which means you're going to make $4 or $5 at best, right? And I don't even think that math is quite right. So now you can do the math, right? If it was $8,000 and you're making $5 per audiobook sold, you can see that you have to sell an awful lot of books for you to, and not just books, audiobooks, right? Because this is the audio version, for you to even break even on that. Now, it does help with discoverability. There's other reasons besides just making money on that. There's some people who will never, and I've told Ephraim this too, is I don't have time to sit down and finish his book from start to finish, but I would, over time listen to it in my car because I do when I'm driving, I listen to podcasts or audiobooks always. So, I would listen to his book if it was in audiobook format. And so there'll be other people like that, of course I have his book. I have many copies of Efren's book. I have some, I don't know if I have any here. I think both of my copies, I think I have 3 copies and I think all of them are at home now because I've had them in the back of the video shoots. But there's people like that won't consume your book unless it's in audiobook format. But that's the ROI on it. So it's a tough one. And that's why I say that. You could do it for a little bit cheaper, but so hopefully that helps. All right. So, and Paula, great to see you. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to wrap it up there, but do let me know what you want me to cover in the next 2 weeks and going forward so that I know what would be most valuable to you in these upcoming sessions. And thanks for your participation and for being here today. And I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks. Oh, and our next deep dive, Angela, what did we settle on? For June, it's going to be June 22nd, I believe. So you can mark your calendars for that one. June 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it will be hosted by our fabulous Alyssa, our production manager. And we just decided today, and I can't remember what the topic will be, but we'll send it out in our newsletter. So make sure you're on our newsletter list, booklaunchers.com/newsletter. See you guys in 2 weeks.